question for you. Answer in your head as honestly as you can. When have you been ashamed of your behaviour? What's a secret about yourself you don't want anyone to know? When was the last time you cried? Those feelings that are just coming up for you now are the feelings my guests have when they come on my television show. Maybe you felt it in your gut or your chest tightened. It's because these questions cut through to the truth. They're questions that go past the superficiality of life. Now, imagine asking someone that's experienced domestic violence, why didn't you just leave? Or asking someone that's fat, why don't you eat less? How about asking a gay man, isn't it a bit gross sticking your willy in someone else's bum? I'm Kirk Docker, and these are just a couple of questions out of thousands I've asked on the television program, You Can't Ask That. Each episode of the show is focused on a misunderstood or marginalised group of people, people with labels. So it could be Muslims, people living with schizophrenia, or nudists. The point of the show is to ask the questions you're not supposed to. Questions that are considered too rude or politically incorrect, with the aim of going past the stereotypes of who these people are. And what's amazing is not only do these guests answer these questions honestly and in great detail, they all answer differently. Just because they have this label doesn't mean they all think the same. I get to ask the most interesting people in the world the most honest, personal, gut-wrenching questions about who they are. And then I get to listen. My role is not to solve problems or tell stories or even be liked. What I'm looking to do when I ask these questions is understand these people. And if I can understand them, then hopefully my audience at home can understand them too. I believe we all share a core want, and that's the desire to be understood. No matter our background or what we believe or what we're into, we all want to be understood for who we are. And if you go into your interactions that way, looking to understand, it will change your approach and the questions you ask. It will change your intent. And if your intent is clear and honest, then people will trust you. And then you can ask anything. I wish I could tell you that when I've asked these questions, people have got up and stormed out of my set, but that's never happened. What's more likely to happen is someone says, thanks for treating my story with such respect. Or finally, someone's asked these questions so the truth can get out there. People love talking about themselves, particularly to someone that's interested and cares. So today, I want to show you how to interview the way I do it, which is essentially how to ask better questions to get to more authentic response, resulting in better dialogues, more connection, greater understanding, and ultimately more intimacy with all the people in your life. Before we get into it, I just want to explain what this word authenticity means. Authentic expression. It's a term a lot of people like to throw around. For me, when I interview, I'm not looking for some huge revelation or to make someone cry. I often don't even really care what the answer is. What I want is for the person to express authentically. What I mean by that is I want them to drop the facade, drop the mask, get out of their head and talk to me like they would a friend. I want to see who they really are. Let's start by talking about questions. On You Can't Ask That, I ask questions which are very honest and to the point. I also ask questions that I actually want to know the answer to. Now, this sounds obvious, and I'm sure you can identify with this. A lot of people in life ask questions where they don't really care what the answer is. Or they ask long-winded questions that go on, and the point is lost. Or they ask lazy questions where they expect you to entertain them with their answer. Or they ask questions which are just a vehicle for them to tell their own story. I learnt this the hard way interviewing centenarians, 100-year-olds. I spent too long on the warm-up questions, the questions that didn't really matter, that by the time I got to the good stuff, they were falling asleep. So ask something you want to know the answer to. Now, I could go through a whole lot of rules about what's a good question and what's a bad question, but there's one tool that I use to test whether a question's any good. Put any question through this tool and you'll find out. Test the question on yourself and actually answer out loud to hear what would come out of your mouth. Now, if you do this, not in your head, but out loud, you'll immediately be able to ascertain a couple of things. First, can you answer the question? Often a question looks good on paper, but when you go to answer it, there's nothing there. It's hard to come up with something. Then there's those questions where it's simple to come up with something and you can just talk and talk and talk. Second, does your question get to something interesting or is it a bit boring? What's your biggest regret? Sounds like a good question, but do you know how 90% of people answer this question? I have no regrets. Everything I've done has made me who I am today. Very, very boring answer. Good territory, but the question doesn't work. Third, does your question get to something personal or does it get to something theoretical? People love hiding behind showing you how smart they are. Other people freak out about looking stupid by giving the wrong answer. The thing is, if you go personal, they can never be wrong. And for me, it's far more interesting, and for them, far more cathartic. By answering the question out loud, you'll also get an idea of what it's like to sit in that hot seat, being interviewed. I have this rule. I won't ask a question that I haven't answered myself. Because how can you expect someone to answer a question that you haven't got the courage to answer? And as a bonus, you'll get a story of your own to share to help guide that person if they're struggling on how to answer the question. Be curious rather than interrogate. 5 techniques for deeper interaction. When someone comes to see me, I not only want them to be themselves, but I want them to shine. I want them to be great. I'm looking for ways to be positive. I'm not there to interrogate them or get to the bottom of something or crucify them. Trust me, it's far more interesting learning about the ins and outs of porn from a porn star than it is to criticize them for doing something they love. Remember this, no one comes to an interview wanting to screw up. Everyone wants to do a good job, make sense, be funny, sound intelligent. And my role is to help them do that. I think about it this way. I interview with love. I'm in love with this person in that moment. There's no one more important to me right now than them. And if you ask questions with love, people can feel that. I ask hard questions, but I do it from a place of care. My first technique for deeper interaction. Find common ground. When that person walks through the door to be interviewed, I want them to feel comfortable quickly. So the key is to find something in common with them as fast as you can. Find a way to form a small connection. It helps break the ice, but it also shows that you've had a similar experience and you get each other on some small level. The one we all do, the most basic, is discuss the weather. But I encourage you to look for something more personal, more nuanced. Second, use your experiences to transport into their shoes. One of my best skills is being able to talk to anyone and ultimately get anyone to open up. To be able to communicate with someone in the moment, you need to be able to get on their level. And if you can get on their level, you can empathize with them and their experience. Now, empathy, it's a word everyone knows and thinks they do. But I see a lot of people go through the motions to sound empathetic, but they're not truly trying to understand what it's like to stand in someone's shoes. We did an episode of You Can't Ask That on cheaters. People who have cheated on their romantic partner. And after the episode went to air, there was a lot of online chatter. And someone left this comment. I can normally empathise with people on this show, but I can't empathise with these people. And I had sort of this gut response. It's like, what, you can't empathise with someone who's made a mistake? Or someone who's hurt someone they love? Or someone who's done something stupid while drunk? Or someone who's followed their heart? There's many ways to empathise with the experience of cheating without agreeing with it. Empathy is not about agreeing with the person or compassion or sympathy. It's about understanding how that person sees the world and how they think. And being empathetic for an entire interview takes energy and effort, particularly if someone's saying challenging things. So the key is to use the wealth of your own experiences to transport into their shoes. I'm constantly trying to find ways in which I've experienced in my own life a certain feeling that this person's talking about. So being judged, or loneliness, or fear, or joy. Sure, I may not have cheated on my partner, but I can find ways to identify with the feeling or experience and use that to guide my questions to understand this person. So rather than ask the question, how could you do that to someone you love? Ask the question, what was it like to hurt the person that you love? 3, listen and give a shit. So you're asking questions and they're telling you stuff. Now, genuinely listen and give a shit. It's also called active listening. So it's not just hearing the words they say, but it's taking in their body language and the emotive cues. And it's acknowledging what they're saying is hitting home. So it's nodding, it's laughing, it's understanding. It's letting them know that you hear them and get them. And this is really refreshing for people, that you really, really listen, as opposed to in normal life where people are just waiting for their chance to jump in. And if you're not thinking about jumping in with your own story and your focus is on them, you'll start to hear what I call hooks. Little moments that hook your attention, further areas you can ask about. And if you're silent, the person will fill in those gaps. They'll elaborate. They'll tell you things that they wouldn't have if you jumped in with your own story. 4, have a plan, but work in the moment. When I go into an interview, I go in with a series of pre-written questions. On You Can't Ask That, there's 10 well-crafted, thought-through questions. This is my plan. But the rest of the interview happens in the moment, in the follow-up questions that arise from what my interviewee says. And this is where your curiosity and seeking to understand happens. And for me, this is the most exciting bit, because it can lead in all directions. The beautiful thing is, if you have a plan, you can always go back to it if you go off track. The trick is juggling these two. Not being so rigid on your plan, feeling like you have to ask every single question because you went to all the effort of writing it, but not going so rogue with your follow-up questions that what you're trying to achieve with your interaction goes out the window. So have the courage in the moment to follow your instincts and ask those follow-up questions, knowing you've got a plan to go back to if you go off track. Finally, 5, plan how you finish. If you get someone to speak authentically, you need to be aware of how you close it out. You don't want to be like asking some huge question about life and be, oh, sorry mate, meeting's over, catch you later. You don't want to leave this person open and feeling vulnerable. Plus, this final step will help forge your relationship and build your reputation. So, plan how you finish. A good way is to have a question about learning or growth or wisdom, something that brings the energy up. After all that, what did you learn about yourself? How did that change you for the better? This gives the person a chance to reflect on what they've just told you and give you the wisdom of their experience. Then, acknowledge the effort. Acknowledge the effort it takes to sit there and answer questions and be honest about your life. Thank them. Feedback something that resonated to you. Tell them well done. It doesn't really matter how you do it as long as you do it authentically. Like any skill, these techniques take practice. Elements of what I've talked about today can be applied multiple times a day. So when you're in conversations with friends or colleagues, be aware of what you do, what questions you ask, how you listen. Line up a couple of short, sharp interviews with someone that will play along. Experience being in both seats. Interview your parents, the questions you can't ask. That's an eye-opener. Because when you practice asking the hard questions and you look to truly understand someone, you will have deeper and more fulfilling communication with everyone in your life. Thank you.